It's Talk Funny, a podcast by Mark Bailey and other comics from all over. We ended up in Japan because you can give a man a fish and feed him for a day, or you can teach him to fish and feed him for a lifetime. Or you can teach a man to torture a fish on the dinner table and employ him as a Japanese chef. The Talk Funny podcast from NagoyaRadio.com and Nagoya Comedy. Here's Mark Bailey.
Mark Bailey with Mike Miller on Talk Funny.
Hi.
Welcome back, Mike.
Good to be back.
This is probably several months ago now, but Conan had Larry David on as a guest. And so Larry David would just stand in the corner and watch the corporate talk, between the writers and everyone at Conan's writing room.
Oh, yeah.
He had this Indian guy, and he goes, so I'm having a housewarming party if you guys want to come by, and me and my family, and you're welcome to come by and let's bring your own BYOB, and it'd be really cool if you want to. And Larry David walks in and goes, really? Really? So you want people to see your new apartment? That's you just bragging, and you just want people to come by. What are you going to have? Well, you have chips? You don't have any food? He goes, well, we were going to have chips. We're going to have salsa and guacamole. Oh, and guacamole. Oh, great. But no food, right? No. I mean, it's just, but you called it a dinner party. Yeah, but you really just want to see your house. You just want to brag because, you got a raise recently, and, oh, wait, you got a raise? It's just your way of virtue signaling. You want people to, how you're living and how much better you are, And then he's in another one, and the guy gets a phone call from his wife, and he goes, what? Johnny got in trouble again? You tell that superintendent I'm going to come down there. And everybody's looking like, what is he talking about this on the phone for? And Larry David walks up and he goes, listen, you're a bad father. Just say it. He goes, no, I can't help it. She called me at work. He goes, you told your wife to call you at work because you want people to know that you're a concerned dad. And you're not going to stand. He goes, why don't you just leave? You're good dad. Why don't you go home right now? Your son's suspended. How do you know that? That's none of your business. That's right. It's not our business. You're talking about it on speakerphone in front of everyone. You're a bad father. Get off the phone. Maybe if you spent less time on the phone. And I find myself thinking like this all the time. Yeah. It's very dangerous in Japan because, as you know, you never say what you think.
No, never.
It's the Godfather.
That's why. And this is why, for all of you people who've never been to Japan or have been only once on a trip, you go back home and you rave about the country and how nice everybody is. Everybody here is so nice. They're always, saying, yes, thank you, please.
Until you get back on the plane.
Nice.
That's the expression in Japanese. Nice with their shoes on. That's what it is.
Oh.
We're nice with our shoes on. Then you come into our home, and then, sorry, you had a point to make? Okay.
No, my point is that, a lot of people get there, if they come here for a short time, they have an impression of Japan that's like, it's like Disneyland.
Village.
They think it's like, it's like Disneyland. Everybody smiling, but it's that kind of, a lot of the service people, they have to do that fake smile,
Tatemai,
outside face. One of the two most important concepts, as Mark knows better than me, are in Japan are tatemai and hone. Tatemai is what you project to the world, you want people to think, and hone is what you actually think, kind of.
The tatemai is the Potemkin village, and the New York Times reporter gets off the plane, gets a tour for 8 hours, gets back on the plane.
And Japan is wonderful, and everyone's so nice.
And the hone is the gulags.
Yeah.
And
we don't talk about those, Mark.
And
you remember, we don't talk about that.
Because of the Olympics. So I dated some Japanese girls, and when you first date, and she brings you to her house, and she was in Tokyo, and I stayed with her family, and I loved her dad. Her dad was great, nice guy, and they were really polite and everything, and, you spill some rice or something, or even you put the chopsticks in the rice, which is a huge
or
taboo.
You wear the toilet slippers out of the toilet.
And it's just, you're fine, you're Gomer Pyle, and just one foil after another, and you're Gilligan, and everything is happy. And after about 3 weeks, they start saying, okay, so from now on, you're going to actually have to use chopsticks correctly. But you said my chopsticks were perfect the way I use them. Yeah, that was before. But if you're going to know my daughter, if you're going to be part of this family, her niece is 3, is to see everyone, including the gaijin, using chopsticks properly. So you're actually not using it properly.
Yeah, I guess.
By the way, your Japanese isn't that good. Wait a minute, you said it was perfect on the first day. By the way, you smell. Wait a minute, you said inoi, omoshiroi inoi. Now you said I smelled interesting.
You got to stop drinking milk because that's why you spend eating cheese.
By the way, you drink 18 Keating beers. That's how much all of us drink in a year. You drink it in a day. I think you got a problem. But hey, screw this family. I'm going to find another family. I'm going to find another girl. And then they like you for 3 weeks, and then they don't like you anymore. It's like, this is just like a real family. Wait a minute.
What is it they're saying about fish that after how many days it starts to smell? Is that what is it?
Well, like my wife was complaining, in the States, after 2 days they smell.
Yeah.
And that's why, you eat it, it's sashimi, and then it rots inside you.
Yes.
But you eat it within 2 days. I mean, we went to a fish market in the States. My wife was just like, God, it all stinks. And I said, yeah, everybody knows fish stinks. Mm-hmm. And she said, but sashimi doesn't stink in Japan.
Flash frozen, isn't it? Sashimi. That's the thing. So it's frozen.
And it's not from Japan. It's from Iceland and stuff.
Yeah, it's from all over the world. That's the thing. The funny thing is if you come to a sushi restaurant in Japan and you think you're eating Japanese sushi, yeah, okay, it's made in Japan by someone, a sushi chef or a sashimi chef. They cut the fish, but the fish itself might come from Chile or come from the Antarctic or come from, anywhere. These Japanese fishing fleets travel thousands of miles to get these fish. Why? Because they've overfished around Japan. This is the way the world is nowadays.
By the way, did you hear for the podcast? We just heard a musician. His full-time job, he's a sushi chef. He plays sea bass. So I don't even know.
I like that one, but does he have a tuba case? I just want to know.
Well, I hope so.
If I have to leave the country because of this podcast, I need to have a tuba case.
But I think the punchline for being polite is that's what they say. Is Japanese are polite with their shoes on. When they think you're actually going to be, God forbid, a part of the family, you've got a lot of stuff to learn.
Yeah.
Suddenly, in-laws, they're a-holes everywhere.
Yeah.
Also here, I snuck into my girlfriend's room, of course, as you do, and my girlfriend's father was up to all that. He stayed awake all night.
Oh, geez.
He heard
one eye open.
He
could hear the creak.
He can hear the footsteps coming from the left, go to the toilet, and then the footsteps go to the right. So, boom, he's up and I'm up.
Wow.
Both ways. And, I go into the room and he goes, this can't happen again. And I didn't even touch her. And he goes, yeah, that's why I'm here. So
Well, he was training you for marriage, Mark.
Exactly. What do you think you're going to have sex with this woman? When do you get married? Immaculate conception only works in Japan because you never have sex. Boom! I got two kids.
Right.
We want to talk about chuhais. Could you explain what chuhais are and how important they are to foreigners?
Chuhais are part of what makes this podcast happen.
It'd be kind of like an equivalent of a what do they call those in the States? They call them
a cooler.
Coolers. Yeah.
It's kind of like a cooler.
Fruit cooler.
So I think it is originally what a chuhai is, although I don't really know if it
fruit
is now.
Cooler slash
it
heroin.
was a shochu,
slash heroin,
right? Yeah, exactly. Hillbilly heroin. It was a shochu, I think, originally mixed with fruit, some kind of fruit juice.
Shochu is usually it's rice liquor.
Yeah, it's basically Japanese vodka. Think of it that way. It's either made with sweet potato or it's made with barley.
And you buy it in cans at convenience stores. You can also get it at bars, but get it at convenience stores, and it comes with the fruit taste. And Sicilian lemon is a really big one.
So Mark likes to get in touch with his heritage at the convenience store, as you know.
So the Sicilian lemon's really bitter, and you drink it, and 2 years later,
that's right.
It gets you back.
But recently there's been some controversy because there's this chuhai out there. As you know, Mark, when the economy tends to go down, the alcohol percentage of drinks tend to go up.
Right, and just keep that train of thought. I need to explain also that chuhai, it basically is cheaper than if you get like a tall boy of chuhai. It's about $1.92, and 12-ounce beer be about $2.30.
It's much cheaper. It's much cheaper.
Much cheaper. The beer is a 12-ounce. It has about 5% alcohol. The tall boy or the smaller one would also have 9% alcohol, and it's cheaper.
Yeah.
And so foreigners love that, and bars hate it.
Yeah.
Because bars want to charge you $6, $8 a drink. Mm-hmm. And they want you to drink 8 to 10 of them because they water them down so much. You would only need 4 of these. Miles and I had a show, and Tim was there, but Miles and I had a show at the infamous Coat of Arms first show. And Miles was used to drinking 5%, and I gave him 2 9%.
Oh, no.
And it derailed the whole show.
Oh, yeah. Those 9% are dangerous.
When you drink the 9%, when you drink the third one, you hear this, oh, no. And you're up, Mike. Oh, no. So I'm from, where am I from? It is liquid heroin. So there's a lawmaker or somebody who's saying that...
No, doctor. Because recently...
He called it liquid heroin or something.
He called it, yeah. His name is Dr. Toshihiko Matsumoto. And there was a thread on Twitter or something. He thought that the beverage should be treated more like an illegal drug than a legal alcoholic product. He reported seeing people...
Where does he live? Yeah, I got a guy. With a knife and a
I'm quoting here from the Japan Times article, which is, social media turns its back on Japan's beloved strong alcoholic beverages. And it basically said that he compared it to drugs, and he said that he reported seeing people who had polished off a few cans of Strong Zero behaving worse than anyone using hard drugs. And he also felt
that was just our comedy show.
Yeah. And he hasn't been to a comedy show. How does he know us? And he also felt the fact that it was relatively easy to drink presented more of a risk to people. He thinks they should raise the tax on the Strong Zero, to which Mark...
Well, I think he should be a guest here. Can we round him up? Just bring him in, and because the Olympics, and just bring him in.
He can always leave. He's always free to leave. The door's there.
There's a mural right there in the shape of a door. Just bring him in, and and then who knows what happens, and what happens in the podcast stays in the podcast. That's how Jimmy the Weasel Fratiano, a mobster, he got caught by the FBI because he agreed to send a guy to Florida, like in Goodfellas. Sitting at a table, and you're doing this index finger pointing down towards the ground.
That means take care of business.
He's got to go to Australia. Guess what? He doesn't need a visa. You just need to catch him at 9 p.m. when he comes out the bar. Needs no visa. He doesn't need, really? He's going to Australia, and he doesn't
need a passport?
Doesn't need a, how about a suitcase? Not going to need it. He's not going to need it. I owe him $800. He's not going to use it. He doesn't need it. Because, why? He's going to Australia. They can't convert the money? You ask so many questions. He wants to go to Florida. He's going to Florida. Yeah. Oh, I got an aunt in Florida. No, you don't have an aunt where he's going. Is your aunt alive? Yeah, she's alive. Yeah, that's not where he's going. He's going to Florida. That's what they always said. Go to Florida, go to Australia. I mean, they put him on the witness protection program because he said, anybody you need to go to Australia, I'll get him there. And he's an undercover FBI agent. And he said, what if I need, his wife to go there? He goes, yeah, family got to go to Australia. Family got to go. He goes, you know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about
Ayers Rock. Who sent him to Ayers Rock?
You're being very in Perth right now.
Yeah, you're being very in Perth.
Hey, if they want to go to Sydney, they go to Sydney. They can see Sydney, but they're not leaving the country. They're actually leaving.
They're
leaving
might
more.
Want to put some Adelaide on their toast.
One of the things he said, and it got him, is he said, "You want me to help them leave the country?" And they said, broader than that.
Well, we don't want them to get a Darwin Award, right?
No. It's so
Australian place name humor.
Right. So, Dr. Matsumoto, thank you very much for your insight about Too High. It's kind of something near and dear to comedians of ours. So we just want to say, haha, that's kind of funny. What's the problem with Too High that he's talking about? He wants it to be illegal. What bar does he work for?
Yeah.
Bar owners hate this because it wipes out their whole profit margin.
Yeah.
You can't spend 8,000 yen if you can get literally bonkered on 600, 700 yen.
Yeah. You could carry one of those cans into a venue, but we wouldn't do that.
We've never done that.
Never done that. Never.
Don't ever come to me in the corner at Coat of Arms when I'm working with my tablets. These are liquid tablets.
I also advise you never bring them into a movie theater to watch a movie.
No,
ever.
He was comparing it to how much
he said that it is the equivalent to nearly 4 shots of tequila. A 500 milliliter can is the equivalent of nearly 4 shots of tequila.
So what? Duh. Yeah. Now tell me something bad. Tell me something bad.
I'm just wondering,
baby, I saved 8,000 yen on my tab. Baby, tell me something bad. So what? What's your problem?
I'm just wondering when they're going to have 4 shots of tequila in a mini can on sale at the Konbini. That's what I want to know. I like the Otoko. There's one called Otoko Ume Sour, the manly ume sour or plum blossom sour.
There's one that's a pineapple Too High and it's 9%.
Yeah.
And it's so sweet and the alcohol goes to your bloodstream so fast that as soon as you finish the can, you get a call from Betty Ford. So, and then you hear Alice Cooper on your playlist.
And Gerald Ford calls you on the phone.
And then, as you do, all the presidents.
Conversation.
Oh, yeah, guys that are insane. That's one I wanted to come back to very quickly. I was in Shanghai. Go into the bathroom. It's a kind of a hostel.
Was it a little hostile?
A little hostile to foreigners. It's hostile for foreigners. It was pretty hostile. I go in. There's this skinhead guy standing there, nude at the sink.
Was he a real skinhead, or was he just like a shape?
Well, by his speech, I realized
was he
the skinhead part.
Or,
when he started to talk, you understood the skinhead part. So he's nude. He's standing at the sink, and I walk in. I said, "Okay, I'll come back later." He goes, "Hey, where are you going? Do you know my girlfriend?" And I said, "I don't know." Why would I? He said, "Well, she's beautiful. She looks like Ava Braun." I gotta go. I mean, there's 100 women you could have picked. You could have said,
"Yeah, that. You might be a skinhead if you compare your girlfriend." Yeah.
She looks like Scarlett Johansson. Yeah. She looks like Britney Spears. She looks like Gina Lollobrigida. She looks like Lauren Bacall. There's 100 of them that you could name.
That would be the last one that I would think of.
Yeah. What about your brother? Is he handsome like Hitler? One thing I remember about Hitler. Handsome guy.
Great painter.
You know what he did,
painter.
though? Yeah, he shaved his mustache twice a day. That's what he did. Yeah, he also annexed the Sudetenland. When I think Hitler, I think handsome. Hitler, handsome. Hitler. Handsome.
I have to make a confession now. This is the confession hour because we were talking about Japanese police a little bit earlier.
Oh yeah.
So now it's time for my kokuhaku. I have to confess, when I lived in Busan, and a couple friends of mine will know this. There was a bar in Busan at the time called the Diethoff Dittler Bar.